Hello everyone, welcome back to Goosebumps HorrorTown playthrough. This is the part 0 for the event 22, our event that popped up in November. Now, I'm going to be mentioning some of this stuff here, and by the time this video comes out, you already know what it is, but we're going to play pretend, as we always do, what this might be entailing. Now, as per usual, I'll go ahead and talk about some of the small things on the side, things to note of, what the book's based off of and all that information here. So before we go ahead, I might as well mention there was no teaser as it was on media, but as I mentioned before in part 4 of the last update, there was a bug that got introduced when they tried to patch the game. Namely, someone saw this. This is part of their game, and as you can see here, there's this weird egg that has no textures. Now, what is this all about? Where does this come from? We haven't seen this in the game at all. And to further that, someone on Facebook decided to go ahead and then post this, which for some reason popped up with chicken. And that is because the next update was chicken. Oh boy, yeah, so Thanksgiving update has hit and the update is chicken, which a lot of people have mixed feelings on because this is, from the community, would refer to this as the worst book R.L. Stine has ever written in the original series. Namely, that might be from a blog site by the name of Bloggers Beware. They ended up doing, back in the day, this was posted back in 2006 to kind of give you an extra respect. They did these, review all of the books from R.L. Stine, the original ones, and one of the things they noted was that this apparently to them was the worst book out of all the books. And from then on, it just became a meme that this was just the worst book out of them all. And quite frankly, I don't blame them because, you know, definitely the top 5 material. Is it the worst? That's debatable. But certainly, people, if you were to give them the top 5 worst books of the original series, this one would be right up there. 100%. And you might be wondering why. Well, might as well get into that and just refer to it a little bit, because the book basically starts off with a girl by the name of Crystal and her brother move up with their family to a new place called Goshen Falls. It's a weird, I guess you can look at it as a country-like-ish small town, and they ended up buying a chicken farm for some odd reason. I'll go into details about that. The main focus of it actually was the fact that there's this weird woman, who wore all black and all that, and people say she's a witch. But when I was reading it, kind of came off as her being like a goth, just because she's wore all black, pale, and it's just like, kind of like a goth chick when you think about it. But I digress. Needless to say, they ended up bumping into her in the grocery store or something like that. I don't know, they were playing around with the friends and dropped their grocery bags, and they ran away from her, and she got upset, said chicken to them, and then all of a sudden, long story short, they were slowly turning into chickens. And this book really just rubbed people off the wrong way. The parents were so stupid. I don't know, you can even read and listen to other people talk about this book. Goosebumps is a great example of this. They mention how this, ironically enough, they did the book episode when this update was hitting. And they were talking about how this was just one of the most weird and frustrating books just to read, just because of how everything was laid out. The concept could have been interesting and scary, but that didn't happen. And, well, long story short, they ended up getting themselves cured. It apparently turns out the reason why they turned them into chickens isn't some sort of ironic punishment. No, it's because they didn't apologize to her. So then they typed out this apology, because at this point they were like chicks, like small baby chickens. You know, they couldn't speak, so they had to type on a typewriter. And end the story. And then they ended up with this weak cliffhanger of her saying pig pig, and that's it. Literally the worst you can think of, and it's like, oh boy, oh no. Yeah, right, so that's pretty much roughly the book, and as you can tell, there's a few things to expect with this update. Namely, there are the two characters that have gotten introduced to this game, interesting enough. One of them being Crystal, and then the other one being Vanessa. Now, the game actually did something interesting as far as when it comes to what they did twist-wise, but I'll mention that when we get closer to talking about the actual lore of it, which is coming up right just now. But before I do that, as consented, they've added a few things to this game, namely the monster. You could probably guess what it is, but needless to say, I think it's quite surprising, the inspiration to it and all that. But anyways, let's go ahead and dive right into what patch they sent to me as far as this update went. Before we get into it, though, I do want to point out that in this update, the Pixowl actually decided to revamp their whole logo, as it were, their whole branding. It's sometime around October, and this update, when they did their email, did actually get to see this. It's still the same logo, it's just a lot more cleaner, so I might as well just throw that in there to let you know. New flavors come to town. Crystal is in town to bring flair to the promenade with the opening of the Heroes Diner in Goshen Falls. Looks like an opportunity for Vanessa, Clarissa's niece, to fit in the hero community. Too bad Crystal's no hero at all. Yeah, with that little tagline, you can tell that they decided to switch the roles. Vanessa is now the main hero, and Crystal's the villain. A lot of people would look at that in a weird way, saying that, well, that didn't make sense. And for the purposes of this, to make everything feel better, Crystal here isn't the same Crystal in the book, but closely resembles. When you play the game, you'll get to see how well everything is. But I might as well mention some things. It's interesting, mainly that besides the glitch that happened last time, they've updated the maximum level to be level 53, as you've seen. There are 2 new zones. And as I hinted at last video, and you probably know now, they've actually extended the map, and you'll see my full reaction to that in the first part coming up, and get to see how it's exciting and interesting and cool that is when it comes to everything that you need to know. Now, Vanessa and Crystal are both premium characters, unfortunately, and it's a shame that's the case, because, you know, the only free character, quote-unquote, is Greg, but you've probably already gotten him already, but now you can get him through the event currency, which is chicken egg baskets, or egg chicken egg backs, you know, this thing. That, interesting enough, the scene is the barn, and a lot to talk about with that one. You've probably seen the Crafting 101. It's going to, oh boy, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to that. But other than that, some of the interesting stuff with this update is a lot more unique when it comes to what is being offered here. Namely, one of the bigger things is to mention what the book they've added to this game, because as you know, as of late since July, they've been adding special books into the game. So what book is this one? Well, there's actually 2. Those are Monster Blood and Be Afraid. Oh boy! And I can't wait to talk about that, but it won't be until after the next year's update, so it's not going to be a main focus right now, because we've already kind of covered them already, and I like to kind of leave it for a little bit before going into it, so don't expect videos of those anytime soon, but they are coming eventually, so just hang tight on that. Believe me, it'll be well worth it when it comes out. Oh, a lot to talk about when it comes to those. Oh boy. Alright, that's basically it. There's not much to talk about when it comes to this update. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's a Thanksgiving event, and a lot to be thankful for. A lot of interesting things to talk about with this game, and I can't wait to share with you in the part 1 to this. So, hopefully I get to see you there, and yeah, all that said and more. You get the drill by now. I will be seeing you later. Grim here, bye-bye, blah blah. Buck, buck, buck. Chicken noises.